Hi, and welcome to the next section, Univariate Analysis. The first topic in this section is types of variables. We'll be covering the different types of variables that you'll encounter while exploring different datasets. In this video, we'll be covering the following topics. So first we'll discuss what are the different types of variables, then discuss about categorical variables, followed by numerical variables, and finally, we'll do a hands-on exercise with identifying the different types of variables in the Titanic dataset. So let's go ahead. First, we'll discuss what are different types of variables that you'll encounter when you explore any dataset. So broadly speaking, there will be two types of variables. You can divide it into further subcategories if you want, but broadly speaking, there are just two types of variables. First up is the categorical variables. So these simply have values in the form of string or text. Something like sex, address, dates. Even dates are included in categorical variables. Next, you have numerical variables. These have numerical values like age, stock value, etc. The basic difference is that any value that can be measured numerically is basically a numerical variable. All other values are considered as categorical variables. Let's go over them one by one. First, we'll discuss what are categorical variables. Categorical variables are basically any variable which have string or text in the form of their values that they contain. Now, they can be again further divided into two parts. First, we have nominal variables. So nominal categorical variables are those values which have no order amongst them. That is, even if you want, you cannot say that one value is greater than the other, or you cannot even basically arrange them in any order with respect to one another. For example, sex. You cannot say male is greater than female, or male should come before female, or even in case of weather or country. So if you sort it by country, you cannot say any country should come before another, except when you are obviously sorting by alphabetical order or any other parameter. Next up, we have ordinal variables. So ordinal categorical variables are those variables that can be arranged in some order with respect to one another. For example, suppose you achieve a rank in your class. Say it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now first is greater than second. Similarly, second is greater than third. So you are able to arrange those values in some order. Or say education level. So post-graduation, graduation, PhD, things like that, high school. So you can arrange them in some order. High school is less than graduation, which in turn is less than post-graduation, and so on. So you have some order with respect to the values that they have. So you will need to identify based on the different data. So there is no hard and fast rule. You need to identify the different values that are in the categorical variables and what information do they convey. Once we do the hands-on exercises, this will become more clear. Next up, we have numerical variables. Like I said, numerical variables contain values that can be measured numerically. These can be further divided into two types. First up is the continuous variable. Simply put, these have infinite values. There is no limit to the amount of values or different types of values these can contain, like height, weight, age, etc. For example, even in case of height, you can start from 100 centimeter and go to say 250 centimeter, not 250, around 180 centimeter and so on and so forth. But what you need to understand is there are infinite values between 100 and 180 centimeter, like 180.5, 160, 160.52. So there is no limit to the exact number of values. Even if you want to count the unique values in height, it's not possible. Next up, we have discrete variables. These have finite values. For example, number of gold medals won by an athlete. Now this is going to be in any case finite number of values. There is no way that someone will win basically like 26.7 medals or so on. There will be some finite set of some minimum value and some maximum value, and all the values will lie, and you will know the exact number of values that will be in between. In this case, for example, if the minimum medals is 0 and the maximum is 26, so you know that the values will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till 26. There will be no other value besides these 27 values. Okay, so let's move on to an hands-on exercise to make it more clear. Okay, so for identifying the types of variables, we'll use the most commonly used dataset, which is the Titanic dataset. So you can download it from this link here. So this dataset basically contains information regarding the various passengers on the Titanic. It has attributes like sex, class, etc. And the label survived determines whether the passenger survived or not. So this is the information about various columns, and we'll be going over each of these columns to determine whether it is categorical or numerical, and then we'll discuss whether it is continuous or discrete or ordinal or nominal. First, we load the dataset, and so I've used pandas.head. Okay, so we have survived P class. P class is the socioeconomic class. So 1 is upper class, 2 is middle class, 3 is lower class. Survived is 0, 1, so 0 means no, 1 means yes. So when I do pd.describe, this basically returns me information about the numerical columns. So out of this, P class and survived are categorical variables. So okay, let's go over survived first. So why it is a categorical variable? So as you can see here, 0 represents no, 1 is yes. So these are not the numerical 0 and 1. These are basically sort of like a binary value, and 0 has a meaning no and 1 means yes. So you can replace them with strings no and yes. This is essentially not a value that is measured numerically. Similarly for P class, 1 is upper class, 2 is middle class, and 3 is lower class. So this is not a value that is measured numerically as such. You are assigning basically numbers to strings for more clarity. That's it. Let's first write the list of numerical variables, then we'll move on to categorical variables. So first up we have numerical variables in the form of age, then number of siblings and spouses, and number of parents and children. Okay, let's explore them one by one. So this is the age column. So as you can see, there are some NaN values which we'll ignore for now. So there are overall 891 values, and let's find out the unique ones among them. So as you can see, there are so many unique values. Now what I'm trying to show you here is age here is a continuous variable. It does not make sense to use unique on the age. So age is a continuous variable. Similarly, fair will also have the same type of structure. There is no way that it has a fixed number of unique values. There's probably a high chance that most of them are unique. So both age and fair now let's come to So this has values 0, 1, 3, 4, 8 and so on. Let's count the unique ones. So you have 1, 0, 3, 4, 2, 5 and 8. So there's a finite set of values that this column can contain. Similarly, the number of parents that passenger can have on board, parents and children, is also finite. Now let's come to categorical variables. So first you have name. Then you have survived, P-class, embarked. Okay, what was cabin? Let's just check for a minute. Okay, so this is also categorical variable. Let's explore them one by one. Can you take a guess at what type of categorical variable is name or sex? Let me just show you what are the unique values in sex. Male and female. TF, name. So we have so many unique values. Like in previous case, when we were doing the unique on age, it does not make sense to use unique on name as well. So sex and name cannot be ordered, as in like not male is greater than female or female is not greater than male. You cannot order them. Similarly, it goes for name as well. Next up, we have cabin. Let's see what are the values in the cabin. Okay, so this has some cabin numbers C, E, B, A, and so on and so forth. Let us take a look. My point here is that you cannot simply understand whether this is ordinal or nominal simply by looking at the cabin column. So you need to do some analysis, which we'll do as later on, but not right now. So my point here is that you cannot just tell by looking whether this is ordinal or nominal. My best guess would be that this is ordinal, as you can order it somehow. It probably might be that ones who paid the most were on the highermost deck, and so if you paid less, you were on the lower deck, and so on, so forth. I mean, the poorest one would be on the bottommost deck, since the view might be not great. So I'm not exactly sure of this, so I'll leave it for now. Next up, we have embarked, survived, and P-class. So embarked has three values S, C, and Q. This is Southampton, Queenston, and Cherbourg. I'm not sure how it is pronounced. I think it's Cherbourg. But still, you cannot order them for now. Order them. So there is no way to say whether Southampton is greater than Queensburg or vice versa. Similarly, survived has only two values, 0 and 1. Now remember, this 0 and 1 is not basically the numerical values. This is yes or no. So 0 is for no and 1 is for yes. So obviously the number of unique count would be 0 and 1. Again, you cannot order them in any way. So all these values up till now have been nominal values. except for cabin. I'm not exactly sure where to put cabin. You cannot just say by looking at the cabin variable whether it is nominal or ordinal. My best guess, it is ordinal, but we cannot say that for sure. Next up, we have P class. Now, this is an ordinal variable. Why I'm saying this is because you can order 3, 1 and 2. So 3 here basically represents lower class, 2 is middle class and 1 is upper class. So you can basically order that 1 is greater than 2, which is greater than 3. So this basically represents the socioeconomic status. So there is some ordering in P class. Now, from a brief look at the dataset, I can see that this might not always be true. So let me just... Okay, so wherever there is basically a P class of 3, you do not have a cabin number associated with it. Yeah, but most of them don't have any cabin numbers. Okay, so that's about it. You got an idea about how to identify columns based on the data that they contain. So you got to look into how different variables can be categorized into whether they are categorical or numerical, and further whether they are continuous, discrete, or nominal and ordinal. Let's get back to the presentation. So a quick recap of what we have learned. There are generally 2 types of variables, categorical and numerical variables. Ordinal variables have some order amongst them, while nominal variables do not. These are both different types of categorical variables. And discrete variables contain finite values, while continuous variables contain infinite values. These are different types of numerical variables. In the next video, we'll be learning about introduction to univariate analysis. Thank you.